Today we're going to talk a little bit about winterising your boat, as it's that time of year when people tend to have finished sailing and they're going to store their boats over winter. A lot will depend on exactly what you're going to do with your boat. If you're going to leave it on the hard, for example, have it hauled out for winter, then some of the steps won't be necessary. But if you're going to leave it in the water, either in a marina or on a mooring ball, or if you're going to carry on using it, then you'll need to adapt what you do to winterise your boat for your specific method of wintering. A lot will also depend on what type of engine you've got on your boat. If you've got a petrol outboard like we have on Kittiwake, then we'll tend to take that out of the water to store it in the storage, and we'll flush it first because it's raw water cooled, so seawater circulates the engine itself. Whereas if you've got an inboard diesel engine, then obviously you'll probably have a heat exchanger, so you may be a bit more relaxed about flushing the engine, but either way it's a good thing to do. You'll also of course want to change the oil and filters on your engine, and if you do have a heat exchanger, you'll want to top up the antifreeze, especially if you live somewhere where it gets cold over winter. You won't want anything in the engine which can freeze and then crack. On most boats you'll want to drain the water from the fresh water tank and try and get it out of all the taps, just because obviously with the freezing temperatures especially, but also because it can go mouldy. It's a really good idea to put dehumidifiers in your boat, and then that way if it's damp over winter you won't get as much sort of black mould growing everywhere, and it'll just keep the inside of the boat nice and dry. You also don't want anything deciding to live on or inside your boat while you're away, so it's a good idea to have some sort of system of scaring away birds, like some CDs hung up that stop them landing and nesting and leaving bird poo all over your boat. And also if you're in a marina where there are rats and cockroaches, then you want to take steps to prevent those from getting in by sealing up all the ventilation holes and that sort of thing. But then obviously you do need to be extra careful with your dehumidification. Another good tip to stop rats getting on board your boat is to take off all the food that's on it for the winter, especially any in opened packages. Also on the mould front, it's a good idea to take off all the cushions if you can and take them home to keep them somewhere that's nice and dry. If not, then just try and get them away from surfaces so that air can circulate all around them. If you're going to be leaving the boat in the water, it's obviously a good idea to double up on the lines and add chafing gear just to make sure the boat's nice and safe. No lines are going to chafe through and your boat's going to start wandering around and bumping into other boats. So have a double check of all your lines and make sure it's really secure. If you've got anodes on your boat, then it's a good time to at least check them, because obviously if you're going to be away for sort of 5 to 6 months, then you'll not want them wearing down over winter and then things starting to corrode. You'll also want to check that your batteries are going to stay in good condition, so if you can take them off the boat, if your boat's on the hard and you're not worried about the bilge pumps, then you can take the batteries home and keep them charged up at home with a battery charger. But otherwise you'll probably want to top up the battery water and then pop down to the boat at some point during the winter to make sure that the water level is still good in them. And you'll want some good way of charging the batteries over winter, preferably solar or wind generator or something like that. Thanks for watching. If you want to pick up some really good sailing gear, then check out the Wetsuit Outlet's Black Friday sale. It's viewable in the link below.